I, 25 male, am the youngest of 3 siblings. My sisters are 33 and 31. My parents, 63 female and 60 male, are owners of a grocery store that was passed down through my father's side of the family for generations. On both my dad and mom's side, my grandparents left my siblings and me each a college/trust fund of $100K. Each of my sisters blew through their money and dropped out of college. They became single mothers to my 3 young nieces and returned to work for my parents' store. I was the only kid who didn't work for my parents' business. I got a job as a landscaper for the summers and after school throughout my entire high school years and saved up about $20K. I got accepted into college on a partial scholarship, and I was beyond thrilled because I knew I had a great opportunity to leave college debt-free and own my own home by the time I was 22. Just as my sisters did when they turned 18, I asked my parents to turn over access to the trust. I wanted to have the money under my control just like my sisters did. That's when my parents told me we would discuss this at dinner tonight. So at dinner, my whole family was there, including my nieces. When it was time to talk about my trust, my dad and mom asked me if I would consider holding off accessing the trust for 2 years, as they had to use some of the money to cover health care and living costs of their grandkids, and also pay off a lawsuit that my sister Gloria received for a DUI. I asked how much they used, and my mom said that there is currently $5,000 left in the account. So they spent $95,000 and none of it went to me. My dad said, "We just need you to think about your family and understand that we need your help in this request. Isn't it great that everyone benefited from this money, besides the person it was intended for?" Gloria and Lori got to go to college and travel the world with their money, while I got to pay for all their mistakes with my money. So my last words to my family were, this was not a request, as the decision was already made, and I moved out and left. I still went to college as I had a partial scholarship. Over those years, I used the money I had in my savings to start my own landscaping business, which employs 6 guys, and we are doing great. I never got a chance to spend any of the money my grandparents left for me, as my parents never built the trust back up. Finally, 2 years ago, I found out from my lawyer, when I sent in a formal request to access the trust, that the current balance was $3,456.13, less than the $5,000 my parents told me about. My sisters and parents have tried to reconnect throughout the years, but I have always resent every gift, letter, and invitation they have sent me back to them. I am getting married next month, and my fiance wants to meet my family and help me close this chapter in my life. My fiance wants me to forgive and move on, as I haven't spoken to them in years. But am I in the wrong for telling my fiance sorry, but I cannot move on from this? Tell your fiance you love what she's trying to do, but you were robbed $100,000 and they ceased being worthy of the term family. When they come back with repayment plus interest, then the reconciliation can begin. Why didn't you sue the trustees of the estate? You really should have. There is a lot of stigma against calling the law family. OP's mad, but it doesn't sound like he's interested in suing his parents. This is an extremely common reaction here. Sue your parents, send your parents to jail, call the cops on your parents, but most people want their parents to come clean and be accountable for their actions rather than send their 70-year-old mom to prison to crochet blankets with skulls on them. Someone steals $100K from me, no way they get to stay in my life. You are all adults. Obviously, this is just my opinion, but that is more than enough reason to not trust these people in your life. You won't ever get that money back. And the fact that the amount now had gone down instead of up when they promised to eventually pay you back says that they also lied to you. Good on you for moving on without them and doing well. You did enough for them without your consent already. Update. I refuse to forgive my family, sisters, and my parents until they pay me back the inheritance they spent on themselves. So much has happened since I told my story. My fiancé admitted speaking to my family on Facebook Messenger. They also spoke in person when she said that they met each other in a restaurant. Happened a month ago. Fiancé said it was very emotional. I told my fiancé, I am extremely disappointed that she withheld this information from me for a month. Fiancé told me she felt guilty and afraid to tell me because she thought I might break up with her and cancel the wedding if I found out. She wanted to wait till after the wedding to tell me. However, yesterday my mom called her directly, begging her to help me reunite our family. She missed so much of my life, and she doesn't want to miss another milestone, wedding. Fiancé knows she has violated my trust and gave me the most heart-melting, sincere apology I've ever heard in my life and asked for forgiveness. She even had her parents ask me to forgive her and not cancel the wedding. Her dad and mom told me they loved me and hope I could move past this. Her dad loves me. He literally has a picture of me in his office, just me and him, LOL. Introduces me as his son for the past 2 years. He cried and said he doesn't want to lose me as a son. I forgave my fiancé. Sisters came to my business with my nieces and desperately wanted to talk. Sisters deeply regret their part in the decisions made on their behalf and want to be a family again. They understand my position and anger, but they miss me and want me back in their lives. My nieces also ask why I don't come around anymore, and am I mad at them? Sisters explain that this has destroyed our parents' marriage, as it has now come out that my mom apparently spent the majority of the money without my dad knowing. Then when he found out, my mom wanted dad to say it was both of their decision because she believes if it came out that it was her decision by herself and not my dad, that I would never forgive her no matter what and would disown her because I always accused her of playing favorites. To be honest, she was right. I would have disowned her. My mom pleaded with my dad to cover for her decision to empty my fund. Dad was furious but decided to say he and my mom decided to spend the money. Dad now resents our mom because he no longer has a relationship with his only son. He also hears from his friends how great of a relationship I have with father-in-law. I call father-in-law Dad. He calls me his son. Dad told my mother, either she fixes this or he is done with her and he is telling me the truth. I told my sisters that I love them and my nieces, and I do not hate them. However, they helped rob me of a very important gift that our grandparents gave each of us, and I missed out on life experiences that they got to experience. It's like they stole the last gift our grandparents left for me. We all cried and I accepted their apology, but I told them I do not know how to let go of my resentment towards them. I let them know our relationship will take time to rebuild. I asked them to set up a meeting with just me and Dad and not my mom. I met with my dad alone. My dad was shocked that I requested the meeting. He looked defeated and asked to speak first. My dad told me he is and has been depressed for the last few years, and he feels like he truly failed me as my father. He knows he betrayed me, and as a father he must take that to his grave, that he's the reason his son hates him. He said he's extremely jealous of my relationship with my father-in-law, and he just started crying for like 3 minutes straight. I told him I know it was Mom who decided to spend the money. I told him I understand why he didn't throw Mom under the bus, but he deeply hurt me by covering for Mom's decision this long. I told him I love him and said he doesn't owe me anything anymore. He is done owing Mom's debt. We both cried and hugged for like 5 minutes. I invited him, my sisters, and my nieces over to dinner at my place that night without Mom. I let my sisters and my dad know that this would be the last time we speak if they come to dinner with my mom with them. My mom clearly found out about the reunion without her and wanted to speak. I refused her request and told her, please bring a check for $100K if you want to talk to me. My wedding is in a month, and I have since invited everyone but my mom. My sisters want me to hear Mom's side of the story, and my dad has said he's done covering for my mom's decision. My fiancé is happy and supports my decision 100%, even though I know she wants me to meet with my mother. She just got forgiven herself, so she doesn't want to push it. So should I meet with my mom before or after she hands me the check for $100,000? Wow, it kind of seems like your sisters used their kids to manipulate you into feeling guilty for leaving. Yet in all this time, no one has saved a dime to repay you? Look, I get it. They are wearing you down. Stand firm. They took the money. They can all chip in and pay it back. They are not disabled. They can work. Don't let them apologize without making amends. And they're still on your mom's side. That's why they want you to hear her out. My advice? Slow way down. It took them years to break your relationship. Don't rush into mending it. I'd rethink the wedding invite. You went too easy on your sisters. They are all guilty the same as Mom. They burned through the money. Do you think your mom gave it without them nagging? Your dad and nieces are innocent. But your sisters were not 12 when they knew they would rob you of your life. You had to work your butt off because they used stuff left for you, and now they got a bailout. The only good person in this scenario is your dad and nieces. Children are innocent. I would only invite dad and nieces, literally, and skip on sisters and mom if I were you. You do realize that every one of them is manipulating you, right? You see, your family are throwing your mother under the bus for something they all had a part in. It wasn't just her idea while they were throwing away your 100K. Still, now because they want to be at your wedding, it's suddenly all her idea and they wanted no part in it? Suspicious, don't you think? The person you're going to marry guilt-tripped you and manipulated you into staying. She wasn't thinking about you when she contacted your family. She was thinking only of herself. There are 3 children involved. Holden, my son, Elle and Sophia, partner sisters' daughters. I'm getting married in a year. It's a very exciting time, but we can't exactly agree on a wedding list. My son is an obvious invite, and honestly, I thought it'd be a child-free wedding other than him. Of course, our own children should take priority over nieces, but that was my thought process. Our nieces are very involved in our lives as they live just down the road, and we're my sister-in-law's first choice for childcare, which she needs more often than not. Partners said they wanted Sophia and Elle to be involved in the wedding. And yeah, I can picture that because it's such a cliche thing to do, isn't it? But then I thought maybe Holden would get bored during the wedding and thought perhaps he and Sophia could be involved in the wedding. They're close friends being so close in age. I don't want Elle involved because she's sulky, cries over everything, starts fights with the other children, and then blames them and cries when told off. Usually I can deal with it, but is it so wrong I don't want to deal with it on my wedding day? Partner told me it would be both girls, and I told them it'd be neither if they wanted both, because I don't want to deal with any tantrums on our wedding day. My son Holden wants Sophia there. He's asked for her there specifically. Partner has finally agreed on just Sophia at the wedding, as long as we do something with just Elle to even it out. But honestly, I'm worried about how my sister-in-law will take it. My side is Elle cries at everything. Every time she's with Holden or Sophia, she'll start a fight with them and then cry over it. I just want everything to go smoothly, and I know my son and Sophia will be well behaved. And Holden specifically asked for Sophia. I've told her mom to get help, but I'm not Elle's mother, so that's neither here nor there. I'm just completely exhausted. At the end of the 6-week holiday, I've spent 4 weeks looking after her, and it's been this way since she was around 2. So am I the idiot? You are the idiot, and a solid one. They're sisters. You can't include one and not the other. And how can you explain to them that you'll allow just one? She will forever remember, and this will forever cause problems in the family. If I were her mother, I'd not allow one without the other. I'd never allowed my kid to be singled out, ostracized, and uninvited. Screw your desire to have a playmate for your son at your wedding. You are the idiot. How exactly were you planning on telling your family this? Oh, nothing personal, but only one of your kids can come because I think your other one is just bratty. Did you think that would go over well? Also, it kind of sounds like you play favorites with them. Maybe the other child acts up around you because she knows you like her sister better than her. Also, they're your partner's family, so if they want them at their wedding, they're allowed to have their relatives too. Poor Elle. Imagine being told that you can't go to your uncle's wedding, but your sister's allowed. This could seriously affect her mental health long term. If I were her mother, my whole family wouldn't come if you're going to exclude one of us. OP, think long and hard about this and all the potential damage this can cause. I'm 18 female, and about a month ago, I started therapy for eating issues and other things. The therapist did several things that made me slightly uncomfortable. She constantly brought up my appearance and told me how I have nothing to feel insecure about, asking me to stand up and point to parts of my body I don't like, and compared me to herself every chance she got. I didn't think too much of these things at first, as my dad is paying for the sessions, and I thought that maybe this was just me getting used to a new person. What happened today was the last straw. She asked me to stand up and lift up my shirt. I didn't even bother asking why. I just told her she was making me uncomfortable and left. I told the person at the front desk what happened and drove home. My dad is angry. He said I should have told him about all of this before doing something so drastic, telling the front desk person. He said it was inappropriate to just leave the session like that when I could have just said no, and that I should have told him how I was feeling before he paid for the sessions. He should have been the first to hear. I genuinely am confused about this situation. I feel okay that I left, but I'm not sure if I handled it correctly. Was there something I should have done differently? You are not the idiot, and your father couldn't be more wrong. His comment that you could have just said no shows that he has a fundamental misunderstanding of a patient's vulnerability in a therapy session and the position of authority that a therapist holds. Honestly, you were super brave to take the initiative to walk out when you felt uncomfortable. You were not required to stay and confront her if that didn't feel safe or like something you were capable of doing in that moment. And any good legitimate therapist would tell you that. Not the idiot. Why would a mental health therapist ever ask you to lift your shirt? That's troubling. I wonder how many other young girls she did this to, and they just accepted it. NOP, you need to file an official report. Not the idiot. You were standing up for yourself. Too many girls get hurt, physically, mentally, or emotionally, because they're afraid to be rude. I'm proud of you, and your dad should be too. Also, I don't think it's appropriate for the therapist to talk about herself or compare you to her. I'm no expert, but aren't body comparisons a trigger of eating disorders for some people? She sounds awful. My partner and I have a 5-week-old baby who is exclusively breastfed. He will wake up 3 to 4 times a night to nurse for 20 to 40 minutes per time. My argument is that she's already awake to nurse, so she should do the diaper changes too. I have offered to do half the diaper changes, but that's not enough for her. My partner thinks I should do all of the nighttime diaper changes since she's breastfeeding. Her argument is that since she's nursing day and night, it's only fair. She says she needs time to go to the bathroom, drink water, etc. while I'm changing the diaper. In her view, I am often grouchy, need to be asked multiple times to get up, and sometimes argue if he needs to be changed. Relevant information? We are both on parental leave now, and when I go back to work in construction, I need a full 8-hour sleep. She will be on leave for the next 18 months. We go to bed at 9 p.m., and I get up with our dogs at 6 a.m., and she's up with the baby an hour or two later. So, am I the idiot? Hardcore, you are the idiot. Your wife is exhausted physically and due to lack of sleep. You have no excuse, especially while you're on parental leave. However, she does need to use the bathroom, drink water, whatever, to take care of herself so she can take care of your son. Parenthood is about shared responsibilities and partnership. You need to grow up and share the burden. There's only room for one baby in your family, and it's not you. Time to be a dad. It's hard, but tough. This is your moment to decide what kind of father and ultimately husband you want to be. Stop whining, OP. Be a partner, dad, husband, and help out. This "I'll change half of the diapers" is pure nonsense. Her body just created a baby. Now her body is healing, and she is breastfeeding, meaning she's very tired because her body is busy healing and creating food for a baby, and you need your sleep. I'm cracking up. This is just embarrassing. Man, I don't understand some people. So when they decide to have a kid, do they think it's a cakewalk? Do they think it's going to be like in the movies where everything is colorful with soft light and smiling babies? Parenthood is hard and is a joint responsibility. You have to sacrifice some sleep, time, money, and headspace. But why have a kid if you're not ready? My God, that poor woman. You are the idiot. A classic example of someone who wanted kids, but didn't want to do any of the actual work of parenting. Probably assumed she would do all the hard, messy, inconvenient stuff, and he'd just take the kids to their soccer games and help with math homework.